Eurovision 2026 is upon us, and good or bad, whether you like them or not, we've now listened to every song that's going to perform at the competition. Now, here at ESC Canuck, we want to give credit where credit's due, so I'd like to present the inaugural 2026 Preseason ESC Canuck Awards. From the jump, these are all complimentary awards. In random order, let's just dive in. First up, it's Sweden, with Felicia singing My System. Now, EDM has never done particularly well at Eurovision, but if anyone can change that, it's Sweden. Sweden are like the 250-pound pure muscle bodyguards standing between anyone who wants to win the contest and their goal. Something that might hold the song back is the fact that the big hook in the chorus isn't actually a vocal part. And a pattern I've kind of noticed is that if your chorus doesn't feature a really strong vocal melody, it's less likely to do well. See James Newman back in 2021. Also, go look up the lyrics to My System and tell me it's not about door dashing yourself McDonald's at midnight. Still, this is one of the biggest wow factor entries in this year's competition. For its impeccable staging and laser concept, Sweden is receiving the Why the Hell Is My Lighting Bill So Damn High award. Moving on to Luxembourg with Eva Maria singing Mother Nature. Eva Maria is a phenomenal performer. When you watch her national final performance, I really feel her awe, her passion, and her talent, like it really radiate through the TV screen. This performance is also sure to deploy not one, but two Eurovision staples, that being the tree graphic and the violin playing on stage. There's no doubt that Eva is one of the most charismatic performers this year, as well as being one of the youngest. Her phenomenal connection with the camera is really going to set her up for success. This was one of the earliest songs selected, and yet it's really still a joy to go back and experience. For its delightful creative spark, Luxembourg receives the Roots in the Mud But Stars in Her Eyes award. On to Germany with Sarah Engels performing Fire. Germany has kind of struggled to make an impact at the contest since their last win back in 2010. And after over a decade of somewhat underwhelming results, this year's entry is leaning on some really tried and true Eurovision tactics. It's taking the most popular metaphor in song, with some of the most popular styles of music production, and the most popular kind of lyrics. So you can definitely see how Germany this year, they're hewing towards the mainstream. The only problem with that is that you kind of lose all the specifics that make a German entry, no matter how unpopular they might be with the public. For playing it safe and aiming for mass appeal, Germany receives the "What the hell do you mean the UK entry has more German in it" award. Moving to Czechia, we have Daniel Zizka performing Crossroads. This entry is so specifically my kind of music, and that's not necessarily Eurovision's kind of music. Crossroads is so brilliantly different from every other kind of entry that we're seeing at Eurovision this year. It's playing with sonic quality and incredibly sparse production, and some of the most evocative and enigmatic lyrics. They will need to stage it pretty brilliantly in order to transport us away from the arena into this incredibly distinct world. And there's a real risk that the general public won't connect to this the way it will to some of the other more bombastic entries. So there's no way to know whether this is going to fail to qualify or win the whole contest. And that is so electrically exciting from a viewership perspective. I truly cannot wait to see this. For its utter uniqueness and being exactly my kind of thing, this year Czechia receives the "Wait, They Don't Love You Like I Love You" award. Up next, it's Moldova with Satoshi singing Viva Moldova. Moldova always brings the party to Eurovision. One of my favorite entries of all time is Horrid in Moldova from back in, I think it was like 2009. And there's no way that this song is not getting the entire arena on their feet. Viva Moldova is a love letter to Europe and the world and its various different languages. It's a real uniting everyone song. This has enough energy to fill several stadiums. Everyone is going to be dancing to this, whether Cosmo likes it or not. Just having the most fun, and that goes for the performers too. They look like they just stepped out of a Tony Hawk video game, and because of just the immaculate vibes, I think there's a really strong chance they're going to open semifinal 1 and thus be the first song we see performed this year. The contest would be a far lesser place if it weren't for entries like this, and for bringing the best kind of energy to Eurovision, Moldova receives the Taking the Party With You award. Up next, it's Portugal and Bandidos do Cante with Rosa. This performance is a delightful five-piece of the most gentlemanly men you've ever seen in suits. It's the kind of entry that your grandmother would absolutely adore. These five take turns with the arrangement, they've got some great five-part harmonies, and everyone gets a hand on the ball. It's a quieter moment, both in terms of the song and some of the staging we saw at the national final this year, so it's not going to be a spectacle, but let me tell you, it's going to look really great through a pair of spectacles. For being true to themselves this year, Portugal is receiving the Being True to Yourself award for being true to yourself. Kicking things up a notch, it's Romania, with Alexandra Capitănescu performing Choke Me. Look, rock is hard to do right at Eurovision. You need commitment and confidence, and let me tell you, Alexandra has that in spades. She and her band are going to stomp all over this stage, whether or not they can breathe. This was a real powerhouse performance at their national final, like really energy levels way up there. And knowing that things generally only ever improve from when we see these national finals, this is really an entry to watch. They're gonna come out guns blazing on that Eurovision stage. It's going to be a number you don't want to miss. For actually rocking out in exactly the way that they want to, Romania receives the Razor's Wish They Had This Much Edge award. Up next, it's Australia and Delta Goodrem performing Eclipse. Eclipse is such a brilliantly visual title, and because this song was internally selected, we don't have an idea of how they're going to put it on the Eurovision stage just yet. It's a song that does sound familiar in some ways, but I think the production and Delta's performance of it really give this a sheen that's going to be very appealing in the contest. The song has something that I think is really necessary and mandatory for a song to win Eurovision these days, and that is an impeccable build, every moment getting bigger than the last. The song structure is really tight, Delta's performance is slick, and she's the biggest name by far at Eurovision this year. Not that Europe will care all that much, it's gonna come down to the performance, it always does. But I'm kind of excited for this one. And sending a notable performer is always a bit of a risk. The UK's done it a number of times and it hasn't worked out particularly well, so here's hoping Delta can break that curse. For leaving no stone unturned in the quest to send the perfect package to Eurovision, Australia this year receives the Squeezing All the Juice Award. Up next, it's Lithuania and Lion Sika singing Solo Quiero Más. This is a real dark power ballad, with Lion screaming, yearning for something more. It's both visually and sonically arresting, and that's always a good thing. Weirdly, I feel the message of this song quite deeply. Knowing what it's about, and even from the relative safety of Canada, knowing how unstable the world is getting, I really relate to someone who's like, no, like, I'm not done yet. I want so much more from life, even if I won't get it. There's a promise of some really fascinating staging tricks in this performance once it hits the main stage, and that's brilliant. But for me, the most impressive thing so far has to be Lion's commitment to that makeup. He has coated himself in silver sparkles for every performance I've seen of this so far, and oh boy, has that gotta be uncomfortable. For his absolute commitment to makeup, this year Lithuania receives the "Honey, why is there silver paint all over everything" award. Next, we're off to Serbia, where Lavina will be singing Kraj Mene. Now, you never know quite what you're gonna get with Serbia. Lately, they've tended into really dark, sonically interesting entries, and oh boy, is Lavina one of those. This is a really slow rock out with some incredible leather outfits and a perfectly balanced sword at the national final. It's just really intriguing, and while it's not specifically my kind of music, I can definitely see why this is so popular with people who are huge fans of the genre. Their winning at PZE, which is the Serbian national final, was a little surprising, I think even to them, if you saw the lead singer's reaction. So I'm sure that even though they're repping a niche genre at the contest, they're still gonna have an amazing time and appreciate every single moment that they're up there. For going all in, Serbia receives the "If You Like It, You'll Love It" award. Up next, it's Montenegro and Tamara Zivkovic singing Nova Zora. At the moment, Montenegro has the longest streak of participating at Eurovision without qualifying for the grand final. And this year, I think they've got a real shot. In my eyes, they definitely deserve to qualify. This music video is so arresting, this kind of narrative of these women breaking out of these traditional roles to really let their inner voices fly. It's great stuff. It's a really hard-edged electronic sound, and the moody visuals at the national final and in the music video give this entry some really important differences that make it stand out from the other darker pop songs that we're hearing this year. With the right staging, fingers crossed Tamara's gonna lead Montenegro into the grand final this year. I really hope that they do. So Montenegro Montenegro receives the New Day Has Come award for persistence paying off. To San Marino now, and Senate singing Superstar. This is Senet's fourth bite at the Eurovision apple if you include 2020's phenomenal entry Freaky. Without a doubt, she is the most experienced person on that Eurovision stage. And what's more, she appears to have traded in Flowrider, who famously competed with her in 2021, for Boy George. Look, this entry isn't going to take us anywhere we haven't been before, but by far it's going to be the most comfortable performance we see on that stage. Their national final performance was really colorful, really bright. The song is incredibly easy to pick up and listen to, and for having the most accessible song at this contest, San Marino wins the brand new Elevator Award. Next to Croatia and Lelik performing Andromeda. This has monk-like visuals in the music video with these crazy 5-part harmonies and women wearing these fascinating, like almost runic tattoos. It's a haunting chant that really builds into an epic sonic quality. There's no wonder it's a fan favorite. Andromeda really sounds like a song that you could imagine being over the trailer for an epic science fiction or fantasy film. Like, it just has that vibe and that scope, and that's almost always a good thing when it comes to the ESC. For their epic gothic vibes this year, Croatia receives the Thulu Can't Come to the Phone Right Now, He's Busy award. Next to Belgium and Isila singing Dancing on the Ice. I think this is a big sleeper hit. It is far from a favorite in the odds, and I actually feel like it's a little underrated. Because this was an internal selection, there was no national final, we've seen a music video, but we haven't seen a staging performance just yet. This I find to be an absolute bop, like a lot of Belgium's recent entries. And mark my words, I think this one's gonna exceed expectations. I could be wrong, but then again, isn't everyone that regularly posts on YouTube? It does fall into this catch-all of dark pop that we're getting a lot of this year. However, this entry is by far the most dance floor ready, and I think that might be what gives it the edge. And when I say dance floor ready, I don't mean like full EDM like Sweden is. I do think there's a noticeable difference there. For being better than they're currently getting credit for, Belgium receives the On Thick Bassy Ice Award. Next to Norway and Jonas Love singing Ya Ya Ya. This is pop rock at its purest. It's really reminiscent of this early 2000s melodic rock style, and Jonas Love has just one of the most powerhouse vocals I've heard this year. If you don't believe me, you can check out footage on YouTube of the Nordic pre-party, where in order to wake up the crowd, he did some Freddie Mercury style call and response vocal warm-ups. It was really good stuff. This is anthemic. I think it's a little bit of a sleeper hit as well. And this is someone that really knows how to work a crowd and how to feed off their energy and use that energy to like lift the roof off the stadium. There's a reason this was low down in the odds for Norway's national final and then ended up sweeping the whole thing. And that's because Jonas cannot be underestimated in a live performance. Between that and rocking an absolutely iconic look, Norway receives the Get Your Ya Ya Ya's Out on Stage award. To Poland and Alicia with Pray. For being such a core part of the European community, it's kind of wild that Poland has never won the Eurovision Song Contest, though they did come second in 1994. Alicia is an incredible artist with a really natural command of both her voice and the stage. The costumes and dancers are a really great package as well. You know, with Pray, you think you're getting some R&B style gospel, and then it takes a left turn into rap. It's really not what I was expecting from this song, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think Alicia really has what it takes in an artist to win Eurovision, so even if this year's entry is not like wildly successful, I really hope we get to see more of her in the contest. For their musical adventurousness, this year Poland receives the Little Bit of Everything award. Up next, it's Bulgaria with Dara performing Bangaranga. This, I guarantee you, is a song you can dance to. This is a song that everyone can dance to. It's not often that you notice the incredible fashions in the lead up to the actual performance at Eurovision, but boy is Dara looking $1,000,000. And her aesthetic fits this music to a T. Bangaranga means riot in Jamaican, and I'm not too sure of the Jamaican connection there, but it's still a really fun idea for a song, especially one that's loud and that wants to get the whole audience up on their feet dancing along. This is not to be confused with Skrillex's Bangarang, very different song. Everything we've seen about how this is going to be presented at Eurovision is pulling in the same direction, and that's a really good sign. This will be a crowd favorite, and it'll be a great opportunity to let loose and have a good time. For their iconic dance moves, Bulgaria gets the Ouch, My Watch is Burning Hot award. Up next is Malta with Aiden singing Bella. Aiden's aesthetic is this kind of leather cowboy getup, which feels very fresh for Eurovision, even though it is kind of cramping Orville Peck's style a little. This song has a really great build, and so does Aiden. Never hurts to have pretty people on the Eurovision stage. Aiden is also notable for being the very first international act that has traveled all the way to Australia to participate in the Eurovision pre-parties down under, which shows a real commitment for like showing up and doing the legwork for the fans. I know it's very much appreciated. And that kind of classy behavior is a perfect fit for this really classic ballad. It's romantic, almost Italian feeling, and if you weren't getting that from the music, they're gonna throw a bunch of rose petals at you just to make sure you get it. For their real classic throwback vibe, Malta receives the A Rose by Any Other Name Would Be As Bella award. To Finland now, and Linda Lampinius and Pette Parkkonen singing Likenheiten. This is so overdramatic as a song. I love it. Apparently the lyrics in Finnish are really cheesy as well, but guess what? It doesn't matter because we don't speak Finnish. It sounds just as overwrought and anguished as you would expect, given that fantastic staging we saw back at UMK. Another interesting tidbit is that should they win, Linda would be the oldest Eurovision winner ever. This is an entry that is giving people everything that they want, from this dramatic strings, this anguished crying, and then this weird robot voice alarm that goes off announcing the presence of the Likenheiten, which is a flamethrower. For bringing all the drama we can handle and then more, Finland receives the Harlequin Wants Their Shtick Back award. Next to Albania, and it's Alice singing Nan. It took me a while to understand exactly what Nan was about, but when Albania released the music video for this that had the subtitled lyrics underneath, I really vibe with it. This song has a real epicness in its production for subject matter that is so small and really personal. It's a really magnetic blend of the two. It's like Neo from The Matrix has broken containment to sing you a song about what your mother might have felt seeing you move out of home for the first time. For its mindfulness and absolute badassery, Albania receives the Call Your Mother and Tell Her You Love Her award. Next to Cyprus, and it's Antigone singing Jala. Cyprus is another tiny country that often finds itself repped by outside artists. See Australia's Celia Capsis in 2024. The phrase from the song Karimu Karimu, which I believe translates to my daughter, has been stuck in my head for so long. I'll just be walking around the house going Karimu Karimu. Look, this song makes me want to dance. It's such great fun, and the music video does this fantastic job. It's one of my favorite subgenres of Eurovision performances, which is like bringing the old world into the new, these kind of ethnic flavored modern bops. Ethno-bops, as I believe more than one place is calling them now. It's just a great time. It's another fan favorite, and I can absolutely picture the entire arena singing along to Jala Jala. For repping cultural authenticity and packing the back of a pickup truck full of oranges, Cyprus receives the Scurvy Not On My Watch award. Next to Switzerland and Veronica Fusaro singing Alice. Stephen Sondheim is famous for consistently writing about yearning, and boy oh boy do I wish that Sondheim yearned the way that Veronica does. This is yet another really solid rock performance with this nice mid-tempo twang. Veronica's song was actually released on her album all the way back in October. This was potentially the first Eurovision song you might have heard for this season, and it is a completely different vibe from everything else. It really stands out from the pack. The identity of this song is incredibly strong, even if it is in a style that doesn't really rack up points in the competition that easily. For doing so much yearning from the pews, Switzerland receives the Sing Now or Forever Hold Your Peace award. Next up, it's Ukraine with Leleka singing Rhythm. Ukraine has had a rough last few years, but that doesn't count Eurovision. They are a consistently strong powerhouse at the competition, right up there with Sweden. The songwriting out of Ukraine is always exceptional, and Rhythm is no exception to being exceptional. Rhythm is a song about coming home and finding things even better than when you left them. A sentiment that's really pure and quite bittersweet. The joy of a better tomorrow is a really powerful thing to look forward to, and it's a thing Leleka sings about stitching together for her kin, for her dearest ones. And damn it if that doesn't resonate in a world that is as troubled as the one that we're currently living in. For another touching and elegant entry, Ukraine receives the Tonic for Troubled Times award. Swinging by Estonia next, and it's Vanilla Ninja singing Too Epic to Be True. Let me tell you, the song might be too epic to be true, but I believe him. This song does feel a little out of time. It's the sort of entry that back in 2011 might have blown some people's minds, but just feels like it maybe doesn't quite jive with the flow of things in 2026. It's not a deep song, it's not overwrought, but it is really upbeat stadium rock, and that's sure to be a whole lot of fun. You know, in a year of darker themes and darker songs, this is a really pleasant change of pace. And we don't see nearly enough girl rock outfits on stage for my liking. This year, Estonia's receiving the Josie and the Pussycats Award for being slightly unstuck in time. Up next, it's France with Monroe singing Regarde. Monroe is already an icon. She has classical training. She is, I believe, the youngest competitor this year at 17, which is phenomenal considering her stage presence and like quality of everything that we've seen. Also, there's a really strong point of view and style that goes along with this entry, two elements that are sometimes overlooked, and this really feels like it's the debut of a future superstar. There's a lot of vocal gymnastics in this entry, and they're really pulled off with aplomb. And there's also moments where the style of music brushes up against things like musical theater, this moment where they all go shh, which I find quite compelling. This is a sweeping, broad entry that's really an excuse to show off in all the best kind of ways. And we've seen opera do quite well in the last few competitions. Maybe that'll hold through for 2026, maybe it won't. Who knows, you can't really tell with these things. But you know what? I never hear people complaining about there being too much dance music at Eurovision, so opera can have its moment. For this incredible debut, France receives the Coolest Girl You Know award. Next to Greece, and it's Achilles singing Verto. This is a unique and charismatic entry. It's a mashup both in terms of like lyrics, theme, and production, which is always like really fascinating. It's really fresh on the ear. It's a really super high energy entry as well, which is great, but Achilles' vocal is really subtly impressive. This is also an entry that's using video game aesthetics, which I really like coming from someone who I believe knows their Sony from their Suomi. You know what? Catboy energy for life. For effortless charm and energy, Greece receives the Give Him Everything Just to See What He'll Do With It award. Next to Armenia, and it's Simon with Paloma Rumba. Simone? Simon. Paloma Rumba. This is another high energy entry with so much attitude and charisma. And Simone is a phenomenal dancer, and if you don't believe me, go check out the music video right now. I'll wait, come back. This is an entry that is really built for Eurovision. And what I mean by that is that this song, if you watch it with the music video, you absolutely get what's going on. If you listen to it separately like I did, I found it lost a whole bunch of the magic that made me like so enamored with it. It's a package. You need the artist, you need the staging, and you need the song all working together, and together they're greater than the sum of the parts. The music video is also the movie Office Space crammed down into 3 minutes, which is very fun and very funny. It's one of 2 entries in that flavor this year. For its disdain for the 9 to 5, Armenia receives the We're Not Getting Any Work Done Today, Are We award. Next to Georgia and Bzikabi singing On Replay. This entry is just fun. The music video has some of the most striking visuals of anything we've seen in the lead up to the competition this year, and Bzikabi actually won Junior Eurovision years ago. And they're back, all grown up, ready to take on the big contest. I think it's pretty safe to say that this is going to be staged great, because their music video has this phenomenal, like almost Gaga-inspired choreography, which I think is just a natural fit for Eurovision. For returning to the competition bigger and badder than ever, Georgia receives the Wasp the Hell Just Happened award. Next is Azerbaijan and Jiva performing Just Go. Unsurprisingly, this is a beautiful ballad about telling someone to go. It's not going to set the world alight, but it doesn't have to. In a year full of bells and whistles, this kind of very simple song definitely stands out. Maybe not for the right reasons, and by right I just mean what'll earn them a bunch of points, but it's still notable to be like zigging when everyone else is zagging. And this really slow, unadorned ballad recently got a rock version that was put up onto YouTube. Go check it out. It puts a little spice into something that is otherwise notable for its lack of spice. For being so stripped back in the Let's Do Everything contest, Azerbaijan receives the He's Just Not Worth the Effort Girl award. Next up, it's our hosts Austria and Cosmo with Tanzschein. This song has a great beat, a solid chorus, and you better have a trank gun with you because it seems like half the zoo's on the loose. Not only are they loose, the gorilla has a license to dance. Because they are the host, Austria's already drawn where they'll perform in the grand final, and it is dead last, which is really interesting. I think it would have been better maybe towards the front of the show, but it's not over until everyone's learned the Tanzschein dance. This is another entry that comes with its own choreography that they really want to teach you so you can all dance along. You know, it's a sneaky little bop. Cosmo is also under 20, I believe, which is really notable. Like, these kids have so much talent. For bringing the fun with a side of beats, Austria receives the EIEI, oh, this is kind of groovy award. Next up, it's Italy and Sal Da Vinci performing Per Sempre Si. Like Linda from Finland, Sal would also set a record for being the oldest Eurovision winner should he come out on top in Vienna. And Italy is notable for sending banger after banger, really unique, original, and Italian-flavored songs year after year. Here, it's a return to something that's really nostalgic. It feels like a song you might have grown up listening to, and that kind of nostalgia is gonna get it a whole bunch of points, I'm sure. Sal, from what we've seen so far, very classically styled, singing alone on the stage, coming down into the audience, twirling a woman around a little bit at San Remo, which was the national final. Like, it's very adorable, it's very classy, it feels like a bygone era. For staying classy and classic, this year Italy receives the Let's All Go Dance at a Wedding award. Moving on to the United Kingdom, and Look Mum No Computer performing 1, 2, 3. Each year it seems like the UK wants to send this charm and polish and perfection that tends not to please a whole lot of people. And I think this is a really great break from that tradition. Their most recent notable success, Sam Ryder in 2022, and Look Mum No Computer both have this real kind of genuine attitude about them. And this style of music, I think they know is not the kind of thing that wins the competition, but it's definitely a kind of thing you hear in the UK music scene that they haven't sent before. Look, if you think you're stuck in a rut, if you think as a national delegation that you can't really do anything to impress people, at least be true to yourself. And that's definitely the vibe I get from this. Look Mum No Computer, he's a YouTuber, he's an engineer, he builds instruments and uses these old analog synths. He made an organ out of Furbies. Like, this is classic. This is great. I want to know more about this. And it's a real UK specific vibe. This kind of laddie, almost football cheer kind of vibe with a punk attitude. And for its originality, the UK receives the Bugger It, I'll Do It Myself award. Moving on to Latvia, and it's Advara performing Eina. This is another beautiful, simple ballad. It might be overshadowed, but I'm not sure it's going to be outperformed. This is another entry elegant in its simplicity in a real bells and whistles kind of year. It has a really truly magical vocal moment right towards the end. It's haunting, it's really transportative, and that's the kind of thing that's magic on the stage. For Advara's phenomenal vocal control, this year Latvia receives the This Is Why You Use Tempered Glass award. And finally, our last award for the 2026 season goes to Denmark and Soren Topagard Lund with Forvegar Hjem. So if you told someone that Denmark has struggled recently in the competition but then played them this song, they would not know what you're on about. This is a really powerful ballad that's all about making bad decisions with someone that you know is not right for you. And it's a notable entry because they decided to keep it in Danish, despite the fact that they have in the past translated their songs into English in an attempt to reach more people and make it more popular. I think that was the right choice here. It really sounds good in Danish. And Soren is a good enough actor that I understand exactly the vibe of the song. I don't need to understand the lyrics to get it. This is a dramatic performance, there's acting, there's dancing, of course there is singing. Soren is a real triple threat. For his explosive performance that really raises an already great song to new heights, Soren earns Denmark the Guyliner and Fishnets Award for cultural advancement. Hope you've enjoyed, getting a short little sweet taste of what I think of all these entries. What's your favorite? What award would you hand out to try and make the artist's day? Let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe, I guess, and I'll see you on the next video. And Simon, Simon,